Okay, well, welcome everyone. Welcome to day 5 of our Mental Health Wellbeing Week. Monday we looked at sleep, Tuesday exercise, nutrition, Wednesday the grief curve. Yesterday we looked at addiction, smoking, drinking, gambling, drugs, and I've had a lot of feedback with what we've done. Today we're looking at anxiety and stress, and what it can do, how it makes you feel, etc. Today will be presented by Sean Rhodes and Georgia Pullen, and I'm not too sure which one of you is leading. I'll hand over to you, and Tom and I will just be in the background should you need us. We've also got someone speaking today on behalf of their own personal I guess battle with stress and anxiety. So Georgia, Sean, over to you. I'll drive. Let me know when you want the next slide.
All right, good morning. Morning everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm an environment advisor here on SMB. So as Derek said, I'll be leading the slides today on stress and anxiety. Just checking everyone can hear me okay. Derek or someone can give me a little yes.
We've got that now, Georgia, yeah.
Oh, good. Okay. So happy Friday, everyone. Obviously, stress and anxiety is a really important topic, much like the other ones. But yeah, just focusing on that today. So if we could get to the first slide. Is the slides up? I can't see them.
Yes.
Oh, it must just be my
all,
laptop.
All I can see is the honest information about drugs website.
Yeah, that's me as well.
Yeah, slides aren't showing yet.
Okay.
Hang on then. So I'm glad this is being recorded, and okay.
Karen Naylor's on. She can drive you, Derek. She does a good job.
It's all right. It's human error, is what it is.
Derek, you just need to stop sharing your screen.
There we go.
There we go. See?
Yeah, we can go from this slide. Done a little introduction. Okay, so what is stress? The terms stress and anxiety are often used interchangeably. To develop a deeper understanding of mental well-being, it's helpful to understand how they differ. It's understood to be manifesting in the body, heart racing, sweaty palms, funny tummy. It's quite often that we get stressed about something we care about or we worry about. And I think we can all say during this time where things are a little bit more uncertain can give rise to further stress, and that's something that can be a real issue. So just give you a few seconds to just read the slide. Okay, if you'd like to go to the next one. Someone's just put in the chat, please can you launch the presentation? It makes the reading easier. Derek?
Okay, what does that mean?
Put it on presentation view. I can load it if you want.
I actually thought I had it on presentation mode, but I know I kind of know what to do. So
okay.
Yeah.
The first one that's recorded, this one.
As
Perfect. Yeah.
I understand what's going wrong now. It's not as
Okay.
if we were recording. Brilliant.
Okay, fine. So see, these are some of the signs of auto stress. They've got the little list there. I think people can experience these in different amounts. You can either, have all the symptoms, or you can only have a few, or, people don't usually realise that maybe when you have a headache or you can't sleep, it's not that cup of tea that you had before bed. It's actually something maybe deeper that's troubling you. So things like even before a presentation, or the night before a big day, you can get these signs of stress, and it's really important to not ignore them. I think one that I usually get, I would say, is the difficulty sleeping or the heart palpitations when I get a bit stressed. But yeah, some of you may be able to pick out a few of those things that you get and identify them. Can we go on to the next slide, please? So what is anxiety? It's best described as the unhelpful thinking patterns we experience when our mind fixates on threat, uncertainty, and negativity. So we all know what it's like when you have one little bad thought and all of a sudden you get into a spiral, and the next thing you know, you're worrying about, something that's not even related to what you first started thinking about. Relating that to coronavirus, I guess you could watch the news and it could start about saying something, that's not very positive, and then all of a sudden you're worrying about, your cousin's cat getting coronavirus or something like that. It's funny how the mind can spiral into different places without you even realizing it. So if you just want to take a moment to read the slide, and then we'll go on to emotions. I think it's probably read now, but yeah, if you want to go on to emotions. So yeah, like it says on the slide, it's completely normal to be experiencing a wide range of emotions, and accepting your feelings is an important step to building resilience. So naming your emotions, acknowledging how you feel, writing it down, sharing it with someone, will make you feel a lot better, gives you more control over them. And like it just says on the bottom of the slide there, it's okay to feel discomfort, and accepting stress is often quite normal, and it can help to make you feel better. So if you feel these sorts of ways, there's different techniques that you can use, deep breathing and things like that, but we'll go on to that on the next few slides. So Sean, I'll hand over to you, and I'll go on to mute. There we go. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Georgia. Yeah, so I'm going to just talk you through a few sort of coping mechanisms for the brain, I suppose, is what they are. I know this week there's been all sorts of different great mental health stuff about general coping mechanisms, such as diet and sort of exercise. And so these are ones for the brain. And the previous slide where Georgia was talking about it's okay to feel some of these symptoms. I know that me personally, in the past sort of 8 weeks we've been in lockdown, I think it was in week number 4, I sort of realised I was feeling a little bit down. And so I really started to actively apply my coping mechanisms, because I could just feel it and see it coming. And through, I suppose, through my mental health sort of training, I felt it was okay to tell people when they said to me, "How are you feeling?" I just said, "I'm feeling a bit down, actually, and this is why I'm feeling down." And I didn't want to sort of I was conscious of the fact I didn't want to bring people down by telling them how crap I felt. I just thought I'll let them know. And by letting people know, it was good, because I could see that they felt they wanted to talk to me about it then. And it helped, and I've been okay since then. So fingers crossed it continues in that way. So what we've got here is a tool to get you to think about how you can manage the things that are concerning you. And I applied this tool myself yesterday just to test it, see how it worked for me. I've not used this one before. And so what you do, you think about all the things that you can control and all the things that you can't control. And interestingly enough, on that box, on those two boxes there, they're sort of quite equal in terms of distribution of things that you can and can't control. But what I found is that if you go to the next slide, please, what I found is when you start writing them down and putting things in my control and things outside of my control, I only had 4 things that were outside of my control. Everything else was in my control. But I think it's really about realizing that things are in your control that makes you sort of put some sort of context and balance to things. The sorts of things that were outside of my control were things like I'm not able to go on holiday. But then I started thinking about, well, it is outside of my control, but you know, how can you do a different kind of holiday? Clearly, we're not allowed to go abroad and things like that because we can't fly, but you can probably do things more locally, or we will be able to moving forward. Other things that were outside of my control, what we see on the news, but really it's inside my control because if I don't like what's on the news, I can stop watching it. Things that are in my control, things like diet, how I think, how I react to other people, how I can trigger positivity in a conversation, all these sorts of things are in my control. I know that just sort of at this end of the AMP period and in COVID-19, that job security is a real concern for people. And it is for me as well. It is for everybody when you've not got any clear future defined for you. You know what you'd like to happen. You know what your business would like to happen. But job security is a concern for people. But really, to some extent, that's in my control as well, because if I feel that things are not going the way I'd like them to go, I can always get my CV out and apply for a job. So to some extent, it's within my control. So I found, if we go to the next slide, I found that actually writing all these things down in the circles, the things in my control and outside my control, it was quite enlightening. So I would recommend you all have a bash at that. Has anyone got any questions on how to use that? It's all fairly straightforward, I think. No? Great. Next slide, please. What we've got here are a couple of slides that have got acronyms on them. So the A, B, C, D, that's not really an acronym, is it? Because it's not a word, but yeah. I found actually that it's better if you apply the next slide first and then use this one. So attention. For me, this was about recognize when I'm overthinking things. And I've had an issue in the past where I struggle to sleep because I'm just got my mind racing. And at the time, I realized that there were some things that I could do to control that racing of my mind. But it's really spotting that it's happening, because it happens and you don't really realize it is. So just think to yourself, if you're struggling to sleep, is it because your mind's racing? And is there something you can do to control that? And when your mind's racing, it's probably racing in a way that what it's telling you is not really believable. So just challenge the thoughts that are in your head, and is there any real weight to what they're saying to you? And if there's not, just put them away. And yeah, look at the bigger picture. It was probably back in 2003 when I really started with struggling with sleep. And then I lost my best friend. He died of cancer. And so that sort of overnight stopped this sort of mind racing thing, because I was just thinking, do you know what, at least I've not died of cancer. So it sort of put things into context. And this is acknowledging that anxiety has been dominating your thinking. That's what I do now. If I spot that I've got some kind of anxiety, I quickly identify it and start putting my coping mechanisms in place. And that is exploring your options. If we can go to the next slide, please. Can we have the next slide? Thank you. I think it's easier to apply this slide before the previous one. I've not seen this one before. The previous one, I've been applying that kind of thinking for a number of years, and it helps. But I think this one's a good one to just do a check. You could even set it in your diary, I suppose, to remind you once a day. And I see this one as a bit of a tick box. Is what I'm thinking true? Is it helpful? Is it necessary? Is it inspiring? Is it kind? And if you're not getting good responses there, I would suggest that then you start to think more deeply based on the acronyms that are in the previous slides. And it's been really helpful, the previous sort of techniques. And I think this is a useful trigger to helping you to apply those techniques. If there are no questions on these, I think that's me done. Any questions really? It can be personal if you want as well. I'm not shy.
Thank you, Sean. So we got some. You've got me driving this, so it's. You obviously got. I have to apologise. That's today's deliberate mistake as well, everyone. As you can see, it's the Think technique. I've moved it around, so it's THNIK. Has been picked up. So nobody emailed me telling me they've got it now, please. At this point, normally we're coming towards the end. We would open it up. To the floor if anyone wants to talk, and thankfully somebody reached out to me yesterday who would like to share an experience they have. So I'm going to pass this over to Mr. Kumar. That was our in-house joke, Kumar. You're on mute.
That was another test, so well done to Derek. You picked it up. You get a voucher. Hi everyone. My name's Kumar. For those of you guys that don't know me, I work in the project controls team down at Maple Lodge in the basement. I reached out to Derek yesterday just because I thought I just wanted to share my story. It's not something that I've shared to a group of people before, but there are certain individuals that obviously I have opened up to, so certain people know. But I'm not going to try and hijack the whole session by talking about me. I just wanted to just say that, I mean, for me personally, when you look at people, you just assume that they're okay. And when people look at me, they always think that I'm happy, I'm lively, I'm loud. But no one really sees like the inner struggle. Like for me, it was always a way to like mask my pain. I'll always class myself as a bit of like the clown in the room. And kind of mask my pain in that way by dealing with it through humour. And I got quite good at it. And for a point, I kind of felt as though I was believing the mask and there was nothing wrong with me. I think a couple of years ago was a bit of a defining moment for me. I was on a bit of a downward spiral. I was having difficulty dealing with my emotions. There were times where I would just cry, but there was no reason why I was crying. There wasn't anything particular that set me off. It was just, I was just overwhelmed. There were times where I'd wake up and I'd be so anxious and couldn't breathe and like shaking, and I genuinely didn't know what was going on. But I kind of like put it to the back of my mind. I thought, no, it's fine, like it's nothing to worry about. And when something like that happens for so long, you don't really realize that it's not okay to feel like that. And you need to actually reach out to somebody and say, look, I'm not okay. I don't feel okay. For me, how I felt at that time, crying all the time, getting angry, being irritated, really feeling like I was drowning in my emotions. I think for me, I thought that was just the norm. I didn't know there was another way to feel. I think everything built up for me a couple of years ago, and I did kind of reach breaking point. And I won't go into too much detail about what actually happened or the scenario, but I think at that point I realized that, okay, no, I do need to get help. I do need to talk to somebody about it. I did contact Mind, and then I contacted the GP. My doctor was really, really good. I kind of started to like go through therapy. There were certain tools that I learned through my therapy, and I think for me that's kind of helped me to kind of be how I am like now. And it's something that I try and like refer back to if it's something that's outside of your control. It's fine, you know, it's okay to lose control. You just need to think of like the bigger picture. And I mean, as long as you're happy and you're healthy and you've got a roof over your head, you've got food in the fridge, you've got people around you that love and support you, I think that was the main thing for me, because I felt like I was so alone. I really struggled to talk to people about it. When I went to the doctors to kind of describe how I was feeling, he kind of mentioned that it could be, you know, depression and anxiety, and I was just completely in denial. I was like, no, it's not, there's nothing wrong with me. I just don't feel good. Like, I just don't feel positive. Even though everybody else could see that I was just happy and bubbly, it just wasn't something that I felt I was deep down. And it was so draining to kind of be out and be around people and mask the pain, that when you got back, like when I got back home, for me, it was just, I just feel so drained, because I was putting on like a bit of a performance to say, yeah, no, I'm good, I'm happy, I'm laughing, I'm joking. But deep down, like, I was really struggling. And I think for me, especially in our culture, depression's not really something that people talk about openly. It's still like a bit of a taboo subject. It's kind of, if you went to somebody and said, look, I'm struggling with depression, they'll just be like, well, why? Don't, you know, it's just, there's nothing wrong with you. You just need to kind of get over it. And for me, I think when I found out that I was going through it, and that was the reason why I felt the way I did, it took a very long time for me to actually be able to open up, even to like my own family. I think it was about 3 months in, where I kind of just like broke down and I told my mum. And I think the support from her was really overwhelming. I thought she'll be like, well, no, just get a grip, you know, don't be silly. No, you don't, it's fine. You know, there's no such thing as like depression or anxiety or anything like that. She was actually really supportive. And when I was kind of away from home, she would always give me a call, and just make sure that I was doing okay. And for me, that was a really big thing. Like, I spent all this time thinking that my own family wouldn't get it. And my mum was there for me. My cousins have been there for me. My friends have been there for me. There's obviously, I've got like a really great group of people that I work with. I've got a fantastic manager. So I feel like I'm always supported in that sense, and I don't feel so alone anymore. And if I am having a bad day, I do turn around and say, yeah, I am having a bad day. And the picture on my right is something that I do believe in. It's okay not to be okay. And I think going forward, I think I try and focus on taking everything one step at a time, or one day at a time. There's certain times, especially with our current situation, where I think that I get overwhelmed with being stuck indoors, and, you know, like certain things kind of set me off. And sometimes I do need to take a step back and be like, what is it that's actually affecting me? What is it that's actually making me feel this way? And just reevaluating it and kind of changing my thought from a negative to a positive. Yeah, I mean, moving forward, I think having people around that kind of know about me in that sense, and for me to kind of open up to say, you know, this is the situation, this is what I have been through, has been a bit of a big thing. And I kind of just wanted to use this time just to kind of explain it to other people. I mean, just because somebody is smiling and they're laughing and they're joking, sometimes they are masking the pain, and they've probably done it for a really long time that they don't know any other way. So I just literally just want to finish off by saying, my obviously title is My Mental Health Does Not Define Who I Am as a Person. Be it stress, be it addiction, be it anxiety, be it anything that you feel you cannot control. It doesn't define you as a person. You are still who you are, and you need to take control of that. everyone has bad days. It's completely normal. I think if you feel like, oh no, there's bigger problems in the world. Yeah, they are bigger problems in the world, but that doesn't belittle the problems that you have, because it's clearly affecting you. Can I get onto the next slide, please? Yep, I just wanted to finish off by saying that if you do need to talk, obviously, I've copied Kevin's bit at the bottom. There are people there that you can talk to outside of the organisation. You've got mental health first aiders as well that you can contact. And if my story kind of reached out to you when you did want to talk about it, then please just feel free to drop me a line, send me a message on Teams, or send me an email, or just pick up the phone and give me a call. I'm more than happy to talk about it. For me, that's a big point. I never wanted to talk about it. I didn't even want to admit it a couple of years ago, but now I'm quite open and honest about it. But yeah, that's me. So thanks for giving me the opportunity, guys. That's it.
Thank you, Kumar.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Well
Mr.
done.
Mood.
Thanks,
Um,
Kumar.
Thanks, Kumar.
Thanks, guys.
Kumar, yeah, that one of the hardest things, as we've said, is that first step and speaking up. And you've just given a really good example of the personal struggle that you've had. So thank you for taking the time on your day off. I'll just point out on your day off to come and speak to the group, because I can guess how difficult it is to share an experience.
My hands are still shaking, by the way.
I'd like to thank you personally for and really, I guess, open up the floor. Does anyone else? Does anyone want to share anything? Or ask? We discussed this yesterday. Anyone want to ask Kumar something, or does anyone else want to speak?
Any questions? Or you can drop me a private note after. That's fine.
Brilliant. Okay, so generally, we will end these sessions as with any other business, and obviously, if anyone hasn't got anything to bring up, I'd like to thank you all for taking the time to phone in. I apologise for my technical skills, but I'm still getting used to Teams myself. As a reminder, we've recorded that, and having spoke to Kumar yesterday, but we're going to put it up on the virtual notice board with all this week's sessions. As we've said, you're not alone. We have mental health ambassadors. If you want to take this video and pass it on to family and friends, if you feel they need it, you are most welcome to. I'd like to thank you again for taking the time to join in and end the session there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Derek.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Derek.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, all.
Well Thank done. you all. Bye. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Well done.